Folks, we are honored to introduce Denise Peoples, who's been with us in the past. She's a double lung recipient and a hospital and community services specialist at the New Jersey Sharing Network, and also Reverend Dr. Vanessa Brown joins us for the first time as a senior pastor at Rivers of Living Waters Ministry in Newark, New Jersey, Brick City, my hometown. Good to see you, Reverend Dr. Brown and Ms. Peoples. Good to have you with us.
Great to see you too.
Good to be here.
Again, we're putting up the website, and the numbers, we've talked about this before. We've been involved in public awareness around organ and tissue donation for a lot of years because even though we've made some progress, we're nowhere where we need to be. 4,000 people are waiting just in the state of New Jersey for a life-saving organ. 68% of those 4,000 plus people are people of color. We'll talk about that specific issue as well. But Denise, 15 years ago, you had a double lung transplant. How did it change your life?
It gave me a great quality of life. I've always been very optimistic, very upbeat, but it gave me a different type of gratefulness to be able to know that if it wasn't for my amazing donor and donor family from South Carolina, and my donor was 19, I would not be here. I would not enjoy life and the quality of life that I had lost because I was sick. And I got that back, and maybe better than ever. And it is the greatest gift. The gift of life is the greatest gift.
It is, in fact, the gift of life. And we've talked about this many times in the past when we've seen each other in person, Denise. And your upbeat personality, your positive attitude is so important for others to pick up on who've faced a lot less than you have. Reverend Dr. Brown, let me ask you this. The connection between your work and your ministry, which is the same thing, and the problem and the issue / opportunity for those in your congregation to understand about these issues, particularly when a disproportionate number of those waiting for life-saving organs. You heard Ms. Peoples talk about the gift of life, disproportionately Black and brown. What's the challenge there, Reverend Dr. Brown?
I see it as two challenges, Steve. The first challenge is education. We need to consistently educate our congregations. And what I said earlier today when I was speaking to Denise is we need to talk in terms of testimony. In the Black church, we believe in testifying. And so I believe that when we have people like Denise and others who are people of color that come into congregations to say, hey, look, this is what has happened to me. You know, the scripture says, I've come that we might have life and have it more abundantly. I'm receiving abundant life because I received the gift of life from someone else. And so today I want to share with you what has happened and connect it to a registration drive. I think that people being able to hear and see is a really big thing.
And along those lines, Denise, there are many myths that all kinds of people have about organ transplant, organ donation. But those myths are particularly significant in the Black and brown community, given the disproportionate problem of way too many based on the population. Nobody should be waiting. But 68% of 4,000 plus in New Jersey and a high percentage across the nation, when the African-American community is nowhere near that.
Right,
So among those myths that we need to dispel, Denise, take one and just dispel it right now.
My religion does not believe in organ and tissue donation. We had an amazing faith-based roundtable this morning, which Dr. Vanessa was on. And we allowed and wanted faith-based leaders from all different types of religion to talk to us. We didn't do a lot of talking. We let them talk. And we wanted to know what their religion felt about organ and tissue donation, what was this, what they say about it. And then we wanted to know what they personally thought about it. And then we wanted to know what can we do to make that connection. So yes, that is one of the biggest myths and misconceptions. And of course, all of them have a basis. There's a reason why there are myths and misconceptions. And to address those, the root of the problem or the root of the thought and change it with the truth is definitely something that religious believers do believe in. And my thing is, if you are a part of a religion and you feel like you have a higher power, a deity, a God. How can your deity, your God, your higher power tell you not to help your fellow man?
Reverend Dr. Brown, I'm going to not say anything and listen to you now. Go ahead.
So I think it's important, again, I bring it back to education. And also there is something that hits me, even when Denise speaks, it hits me around health equity. We need to begin to be able to talk about health equity within the Black church as well. And so because we are disproportionately affected, particularly it's really kidney disease that hits us hard, right? That we need to have these conversations within our local congregations around health equity. And they need to understand and be educated in terms of receiving access. Right. And so a lot of times people don't have access to the information. They don't have access to the education of it. Right. And so someone coming in to be able to educate our congregations in terms of giving organs is so very important.
But let's talk about some of the myths. I'm going to be more specific. My wife happens to be a kidney donor. And people, one of the myths, if you donate your kidney as obviously a living donor, it adversely affects your quality of life. Now, there are issues that she's aware of, and you should go on appropriate websites. The Sharing Network will share this as well. But she works out every day. I can't keep up with her for a variety of reasons, mostly because she's in way better shape than I am. My point is, it does not negatively affect your quality of life. It doesn't mean you can't exercise. It doesn't mean you can't walk around the block. Denise is shaking your head, and then I'll get Reverend Dr. Brown in. Go ahead, Denise. It doesn't affect. Go ahead.
That definitely is a myth. They feel like, I can't give, my kidney or part of my liver because then I'm going to be affected. No, there has been major research. On top of the research, there has been visual evidence that you do not suffer and go through this terrible stage of your life when you give the gift of life. There's two different surgeons, two different, whole teams making this thing happen. And most times the donor, the living donor, doesn't have to take any medication. They're able to work out, do things, probably some restrictions like kickboxing. I don't think you want to be kicked.
Kickboxing, yes. There's no kickboxing. And there are certain, I shouldn't start naming brands of anti-inflammatories, but she has to watch what she can and can't. Yes, that's true.
Yes. And that to me is when you think about giving the gift and you as a donor can see what you've done, to pop a pill. It's okay.
I hear you. Reverend Dr. Brown, you get the last word on this. Send a message to everyone watching right now.
Here is the message. Organ donation and tissue donation is so very important. It's about quality of life. Those of us that are from religious backgrounds, here's what I want to say to you. Jesus Christ said, I've come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. That abundant life is not just mental, that abundant life is not just emotional, but that abundant life is also physical, right? It's not only just having prosperity, but it's having prosperity in terms of health and wellness and wholeness. And you can give that gift if you make that decision and say, yes, I will be an organ donor. Please do that today. Please have that conversation with your pastors, with your leadership, and with your congregation.
Reverend Dr. Brown, I'm not sure you were aware you're going to be preaching today, but we are honored that you chose to preach with us and to our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
And Denise, as always, thank you and wish you and your family all the best. Looking good and sounding as great as ever. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.
And thanks to our friends at the Sharing Network. I'm Steve Adubato. These are two really terrific people making a difference. We'll see you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, PSEG Foundation, Newark Board of Education, Seton Hall University, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, the Northward Center, University Hospital, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and by PSE&G. Promotional support provided by CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and by NJ.com.
This is the Seton Hall story, one that comes to life every day on our campus. This is the place where great minds discover, innovate, collaborate, and find their true calling. This is the place where passion has a purpose, where learning inspires leading. The bonds we make, the values we teach, inspire our community to take heart and take action. This is Seton Hall University. This is what great minds can do.